Hey guys, real quick before this episode starts, I just wanted to say that this episode is going to be split into two parts, just because we recorded for so long and we didn't want to feel like that we were dragging you guys out and boring you guys with the episode because it was just so long. We recorded for over 2 hours with this episode, so hope you guys enjoy this first part of the Outside Line podcast. We are talking about Bristol Dirt today, so. With that being said, enjoy the episode, guys, and I will see you guys for the outro. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Outside Line podcast. Hope you guys are having an awesome day today. My name is Jacob Barker. I am joined today by Chris Shoemaker and Mason Wood. How are you guys doing today?
Howdy.
I
I'm
am.
doing all right. How was your Easter?
Oh yeah, Easter weekend.
Yeah, Easter. Happy late Easter, guys. Easter was it was good. We got to enjoy some dirt racing at Bristol, and I had a fantastic dinner. I will say I
Yeah.
was able to help with dinner a little bit. Had some steak, a little bit of a different Easter dinner, but got some steak and green beans, all the good stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed your Easter.
I saw the
Absolutely.
Easter Bunny.
Did
you see the Easter bunny?
Yeah.
The one at Bristol?
No.
That one looked scary. The one in the grid walk. Oh
Yeah,
I
god.
didn't see that.
It was with Mikey's grid walk. It was a little disturbing.
Is it more disturbing than Gritty on
Nah.
the Philadelphia Flyers?
Debatable.
Gritty is a national treasure.
Yeah. It's debatable.
Anyway, speaking of creepiness, the dirt race.
I don't know about creepiness, but it was
Mason's
chaotic.
face.
Um,
He looked at the camera like, what?
For those of you who are watching the YouTube version, you will see that. For those of you using or listening to the Spotify version, you'll just have to use your imagination.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're missing out on all my facial cues if you're listening on the audio version. Check us out on YouTube.
You're missing
Please,
half
please.
of it if you're listening on Spotify, man.
Please like and subscribe. One thing I do want to address on a more serious note. Over the weekend, the motorsports world lost a driver by the name of Justin Owen, and during a USAC sprint car midget qualifying run, a very horrendous crash for Justin. He unfortunately succumbed to his injuries Saturday night. Very just a shame all around. So all of our thoughts and prayers are going to the Owen family and his friends and those who are close to him. We all know that motorsports is very dangerous. That's why it's almost always said that these drivers are fearless, and this is what
Especially
they
those
love.
dirt racers.
Yeah, and this is what they love to do, and they know the risks. So all of us hope that Justin can rest in peace and hope for the best for his friends and family that are close to him.
100%. Condolences go out to his family and all his friends and everything. And it's these sort of situations always really show how much of a family the motorsports community is, and how everybody comes together during these times and passes on condolences. So it's a sad time, but it's nice to see the motorsports community come together and show support for somebody who was gone too soon.
Yeah, and he is a young kid too, only 26.
Yeah, it was. It's always a shame losing, as I call it, one of our own. We're just fans, but we're all a part of the motorsports family. So it's always hard to see something like this, whether you're not even a motorsports fan or you're a diehard dirt racing fan, NASCAR fan, whatever you are, it's always just heartbreaking to see something like this.
Yeah.
Um,
Like we said, thoughts and prayers go out, and good vibes go out to his family.
yeah, 100%. Um, so if you guys are listening or watching, send some thoughts and prayers to the family of Justin Owen. They are definitely in not a good situation right now with what has happened over the weekend, and needs some good vibes, good thoughts. So as we said, prayers and thoughts, and all the love go out to the family of Justin Owen. And I really don't know how we can transition out of this, but like I said, it's hard to transition away from something like that, something that's so heavy. But we have to move on to something on a lighter note, try to get back up onto something positive. We did have some racing over the weekend, and something that Justin would have wanted everyone to go on and watch for us, I think.
Yeah.
Uh, we
Especially a dirt race, too.
Yes, we had the annual Bristol Dirt race over the weekend, and I don't know about you guys, but I don't know how to feel about it right now.
For me, it was. I texted you this in the middle of the race, but it was just when the green was out, I felt like the racing was solid. I felt like the racing was good. It was entertaining to watch from a fan perspective, and I enjoyed it. It was just that we had so many cautions, and it wasn't. We've talked a lot about the aggressiveness of drivers and the aggressiveness of the sport, and I don't know if we saw. We still saw some of that obviously yesterday, but a lot of those spins were some single car spins, some guys going
Mm-hmm.
around all on their own, not getting touched. So it showed how difficult of a race this was. But for me, I felt like things looked really good when we were green for the whole time. But if we saw a lot of yellows, especially towards the middle of the race. But a lot of good racing, up front. I enjoyed what I saw, just maybe a little bit less yellows, and it would have been a little better.
That I would like to say, this is another problem with stage breaks, because I'm going to go on another rant about stage breaks just like last week, but there were enough natural cautions there. They didn't need to break it up because it was already too much kind of a mess. And I'm not sure if it was a mess in a good way or a bad way. I will say a couple of those spins were pretty impressive, especially the Michael McDowell spins.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
felt like
those
I was
were
watching rally racing, which if you've never seen rally racing, that's fun to watch. And the
rally
game's
racing
pretty
is
fun to play too.
rally racing is a good time to watch. Yeah, we if my notes are correct, we had 14 cautions last night for
Oh
73
wow.
laps, uh, which is a
Seems like it
lot,
was
obviously.
more.
It definitely did. Um, I lost count after the third caution, if I'm being perfectly honest.
We
Uh,
got some longer stretches, I felt like, kind of towards the end, but it was just the middle portion of the race, like, was filled with cautions, it felt like.
yes, so there were definitely some cautions that didn't need to happen, but when there was every other driver spinning out within I don't know when it was the middle of the race, there needs to be a caution. So I'm sure that I've already seen NASCAR Twitter, and it's just been dumpster fire, obviously. And
Yeah. Yeah, I
more,
stay
more
away from NASCAR Twitter because it's a mess.
yeah,
NASCAR
don't
Facebook's bad enough.
I don't even want to think about it, if I'm being perfectly honest. Um, so Saturday night, Joey Logano won the truck race, led 138 of the 150 laps. Enough said. That's all I want to talk about the truck race.
There's not much happened on Saturday night.
No, Haley Deegan did have a good race, though.
She did. I heard about that.
Yes, if I can pull
She's had
up.
a few good races, if I'm
Yeah,
remembering correctly.
she had a good race at Texas last week.
Good.
Finished sixth last week. I'm trying to find where she finished last week.
See, it's good to see that she's showing improvement, because I've always been on the with the crowd of like she should be in the Xfinity series, I think, sooner rather than later, because those cars are tailored more towards her driving style versus the trucks that are very glued to the track. It's just not.
Yep.
It's proven that it's not as much, like, it doesn't work for her driving style. But to her credit, she has improved in a lot of areas, because she's usually good for a solid top 15, top 20 if she stays out of trouble. And that's really the thing, is which week, depending on the week, how does her luck align? And she's had a couple good weeks, so it's good to see.
And just her
I agree.
presence and her doing well so far this year is very good for the sport too, because it adds a little bit more diversity in it. And just overall, it's just good for everybody.
Mm-hmm. And she's a
Well,
very good driver. I like
yes.
what she's done. I'm excited to see her in SRX this summer. She's racing the whole schedule, so she's picking up the pace. And I would like I said, let's get her in an Xfinity car sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think she needs to be in a Xfinity car next year, because we saw how well she did at her one-off race last year at Las Vegas. Got a P7 finish.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to find the truck results from Saturday night, excuse me. P13 for Haley, and think about this: she's extremely popular on social media. She has, I don't know how many subscribers she has on YouTube, but she has a huge YouTube following. And I don't know if you guys watch her race vlogs or just any of her videos in general, but they're fun to watch. And if there's people who watch her race vlogs that have given NASCAR a try because of her, and it's good for the sport.
I honestly didn't know she had the YouTube channel, and after we go off air, I might have to check that out. Not gonna lie. And you know who has another cool YouTube channel is Roman Grosjean. And I
Yes.
imagine it's going to be probably pretty similar.
Yeah. Like I said, Haley has pretty big following, and her videos are pretty fun to watch. So I would recommend anyone who's listening or watching this to check them out if they haven't already. Just a good time to watch overall. But as we were talking about the Cup Series on Sunday night, chaos is the word of the day again, which may not even, which might honestly be understatement.
Everyone and their mother be spinning out, and I don't know
Oh,
if that was it. It was a good chaos or a bad chaos.
right. Like I said earlier, I don't know how to feel about this, because there was just Fox couldn't capture everything all at once, which to be fair, it's not their fault, because there was just so much happening all at once. We had, I don't know, maybe 2-3 cars spin out a lap at a couple times, and they can't catch that at once. So it's kind of one of those deals where you would have to be at the race to experience and see. Excuse you.
Yes.
Die on
To
the air. That'd be
Yeah,
bad.
man.
That could
To
make for good TV or radio. So
Hey, I'm including
Ratings
it.
through the roof.
I'm including it.
gotta
Don't
take
worry.
116.
As I was saying, yeah, I think you would have to be there at the race to just see everything and to experience it. Because, like I said, Fox obviously didn't capture everything, and like I said, it wasn't their fault. There's just too much going on all over the track at one time.
Yeah, and you have only so many cameras and so many people, and so I kind of understand a little bit how all that works too, and it's harder than you think. Honestly, I've been in those control rooms before, and it really is a lot harder than you think. And directors, they got to be a little bit crazy to do their job and shout directions and everything and make calls and I don't know what all.
Well, and even as a fan at the racetrack, you're not like if you see a wreck with your very own eyes, you are very lucky because there are a lot of times that I'm looking at a completely different battle and then I see smoke or I see the person next to me pointing a certain direction and then I look over there. Like it's no different than that. You're not always going to be able to catch it. Sometimes you're just looking somewhere else and sometimes it happens in the back of the pack. So it's a difficult thing to catch, and I thought they did an all right job last night, at least trying to catch some of the spins and stuff like that. So, it could be better, but to no fault of Fox. It happens when you have chaos like we did yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I will give a little story about what you were saying about having a wreck happen in front of you. Excuse me. 2016 Fall Richmond race. The big one happened literally right in front of me. I was sitting in turn 4, and all you could see was just carnage. And all I saw in front of me was a car on top of Ryan Newman, which we've said like 6 times throughout his career. So,
Yeah, I swear he's had a car on top of him half his career.
yeah, or been upside down half
That
his
too.
career. But yes, chaos all over the place last night, and just no fault of Fox. So Christopher Bell, we finally have a dirt ringer win the Bristol Dirt race. I didn't think it would take this long to get a dirt ringer to win the Bristol Dirt race, but it did. Now, to be fair, we did have that crazy finish last season, which would have produced Tyler Reddick or Chase Briscoe winner last year. Obviously, that did not happen. Kyle freaking Busch got the win, but Christopher Bell, obviously, like I said, a very well-renowned dirt guy, 3 consecutive Chili Bowls, which is huge in today's age. He led 100 laps of the race, the most of the night. And could this possibly be a sign that Joe Gibbs Racing is starting to catch back up to Hendrick or Penske or even to the field in general?
I don't know if it's a sign that they're as a team catching back up, but I think we've seen some good runs out of Christopher Bell the last couple of weeks, and I think he's starting to really carry things. But we're still seeing mistakes and bad luck out of Denny Hamlin, and Ty Gibbs has been quietly sneaking up there, and Truex has been as well. But I think we've really seen Bell kind of take over there, and it's a credit to him. I wrote an article earlier this year doing my playoff predictions, and I actually predicted Bell would not make the playoffs in a very bold pick. So he proved me wrong. It wasn't going to be hard with the way that team's running. So congratulations to Christopher Bell. I mean, he had one of the better cars of the night. I'm sad that Larson wasn't there to compete with him at the end. It could have been a really good finish, but the Bell Reddick battle was really good, and Bell showcased why he's one of those dirt ringers last night. He really did.
Yeah, going back to your question about does this mean that Joe Gibbs Racing is catching up? I don't know because it's hard to tell with the dirt track because it's a little bit of a wild card there.
Right.
A lot of chaos like last night could happen because everybody and their mother was spinning.
Yeah, and I will say that is a tough question to ask. And like I said, we did see Christopher Bell get the victory. It was a big favorite in the race. So it is hard to say because they haven't had fantastic runs throughout the year, but maybe, just maybe, this win can light the spark underneath the entire Joe Gibbs Racing team to get them to where they've been over the past couple of years to be very, very competitive.
Also, we still got to consider it's young in the season too, so anything could happen in the next. How many races left? 25.
We've got, what was this race, 7, 8 or so?
It's about 27, 28 to go.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
somewhere
more than
around
5
there.
races. So there's a lot of time for everything to just unfold. So I'm not too worried about them.
Yeah, I would, and I kind of had a thought about this very early in the season. If there was going to be one very consistent Joe Gibbs Racing driver, it was going to be Christopher Bell, because I don't trust Martin Truex Jr. or Denny Hamlin anymore to get it done. And Ty Gibbs is the youngest guy in the field, so he's going to have a couple years to develop. And um, I I don't I'm not I don't I'm not going to use the word hate. I don't dislike Ty Gibbs as much as I used to, which is something I think I thought I'd never say. But after he won his Xfinity Championship, he did earn my respect. So I'm looking forward to see how he will grow as an individual, as a champion of the sport, and a driver over the next 20 years. So he's got a lot riding on him, but I don't think he will. And you guys who are listening can write this down. I don't think he will be, I don't want to say inconsistent, but I don't think he'll be one of the top dogs at Joe Gibbs Racing this season. In the next couple of years, yes, he will be. But this season, no.
So far these drivers though, they're making us look stupid, except our picks to win, because me and Mason picked Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell, and we won again. Our picks won. So
Very
You
happy
guys,
about that.
I need to catch up to you guys. We got to
Who'd you
start
pick,
writing these
Jacob?
down.
Who'd you
I
pick, Jacob?
I don't remember. I picked
excuses.
Suarez, I think.
Where did he finish, anyways? You didn't
Not
even
good.
hear his name.
I did not hear him.
Daniel
Did you
Suarez,
miss?
25th,
Awesome.
finished running, so he was there. He just
You
had
were
He
he had a
spun on
bad
the
weekend.
final lap.
He started 34th. He did not have a good weekend as a whole. Not
Yeah.
what not what I think anybody was expecting. And to be fair, I mean, Chastain, he was up there for a very limited amount of time. He finished 28th. It was just a bad weekend for Trackhouse.
It's a very rough weekend for Trackhouse. And like I
Yeah.
said, both Suarez and Chastain were involved in the incident on the last lap. And it's a huge hit for Chastain.
He did take a massive hit. I saw that one.
Yeah, two-wheeled it for a second there, but thankfully, and that's why they threw the caution on the last lap, and I think that was the correct call, because he got going on the straightaway again, but stopped at the turn again, I believe, and that's why they threw the caution. And in the
I think it
distance
was
from
the
the
right call.
yeah, in the distance from the camera shot, you could just see Bell and Briscoe just hauling off the turn. And if they made one error, I think they would have slammed into Chastain. But
That's the thing, is I think NASCAR keeps in mind the finish last year, and anything can happen coming across that finish line. So they made the right call with the caution at the end. As much as some people are going to complain about it, it was, once again, the right call.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, nobody likes to see a finish under caution, but at the same time, yeah, that probably was the right call.
Yeah, and thankfully it was a safe finish, even if it was on a dirt track. Um, just the right call, which we haven't said uh, much about NASCAR making right calls this season or ever. But thankfully, right call got us a safe finish, got the drivers safe off the track. Well, off the track, it was the final lap, quote unquote. Um, and then Bell won. It was going to be a good finish if it went green, but it was just too dangerous for all the drivers, in my opinion.
Yeah, especially considering, like, I know a lot of people thought like Reddick was going to really put a charge there into that final corner, but I think like I don't think he was going to get the lead either way coming out of that corner if they even kept it green. So red call.
You know, we were talking about the chaos and everybody spinning earlier, and I was sitting here thinking, and I wonder if it would have been less chaotic if they maybe did a dirt race but at a bigger track, set like at something the size of Richmond or something, just to give everybody more room.
Maybe. I have heard. Uh, I don't know who it was specifically. It may have been another podcast talking about putting dirt on Richmond, which I actually like the idea of because it, like you said, it is wider than Bristol, so the drivers have more room to work with, and it'll be I don't know what the right word would be, but it'll I don't want to say it'll be more entertaining because I don't know how it would handle, but with the proper care and the time put into it, maybe just maybe it would be a better race than Bristol on dirt.
The thing
I don't.
is, you can go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, I mean, I don't know about Richmond itself, the venue of it itself, just because I'm not crazy about having already non-dirt tracks turned into dirt tracks, but say at a already, dirt venue, that might be able to work a lot better.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, and I think that, at the very least, we've seen over, it's just the third time doing it. I think we've seen each year there's been improvements to the event to make it better compared to that first year. I think a lot of people forget how cloudy, dusty, that first year was, and there was a lot of issues. So they've really cleaned a lot of that up. We don't have the same overheating issues with the grills and everything like that. So a lot of that stuff has gotten cleaned up. So that I think that's a good sign. But to Chris's point, I've kind of always said that if we were going to do a dirt race, I think it should be on an actual dirt track. I'm not opposed to having a dirt race on the schedule. I think it adds a little something to, you come into NASCAR, you got to be good at every single thing, whether it's road courses, short tracks, dirt tracks, big tracks. You have to be good at just plain racing. And I kind of like that. That's the direction that we've headed. I don't think we need more than one dirt race, but to Chris's point, I think I've always felt that dirt race should be at a actual dirt track, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned something like that last week, just a little bit. I may have said it where just take them all to Knoxville.
Or Eldora.
Yeah, that would be cool. Just have them on a proper dirt track and see how they do.
USA International dirt?
Maybe.
What about a road course on dirt?
No.
You're going too crazy now.
We experienced that in NASCAR heat. We don't need it anymore.
I hated it. I hated it so much. We'll get to it later when we talk about video games, but gosh, those dirt road Jefferson, I think that's the track.
I think that's exactly the one.
I think I struck a nerve.
I lost 10 years racing at Jefferson on that game. Truly.
Oh, I love it. So, going to more chaos, Kyle Larson versus Ryan Preece. Man. So as I've mentioned before, I am a Larson fan. That was interesting to say the least. That'll be my clean version of it. Um, and to Preece's credit, he did say game over. I will give him that.
Yeah, he stopped playing around yesterday. Everybody was, saying he was all talk. Somebody must have shown him Twitter while he was in the car, because then he went out there and did that after everybody was calling him a talker.
Yeah, the whole thing was between him and Larson. I remember that initial hit that kind of made him angry and told Kyle Larson that he's number one. And then I'll give Preece the benefit of the doubt there. I know a lot of people are going to maybe disagree with me, and I know a lot of people aren't going to politely disagree with me, but I don't know. I think, wasn't it Kyle Larson that ran Preece into the wall, or do I have it backwards?
No.
So there was two different incidents that happened on track. So I don't know if Larson got tight or cleared himself coming out of turn 4.
He did his usual "I'm clear," send him into the wall that he's done 12 times since he's gone to Hendrick.
Okay. I'm not the driver, obviously.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I think it could have been accidentally on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's similar to what he did. He did to Chase at Auto Club last year. I feel like he's done it a couple times since, where he thinks he's clear. I don't think he's doing it like intentionally to throw him into the wall, but he thinks he's clear. Unfortunately, he's not. And
he's not listening. He's not listening to Tyler at all, which is dumb. And then
is he pulling a Dale Earnhardt trying to rattle his cage?
Right.
He's definitely rattled. He definitely rattled the cage. That much is for sure.
And then there was a second incident on track that basically finished the toe link off on Preece's car, with Briscoe, which stuffed. Let's see if I can remember this correctly. Briscoe got into Preece, which got into Bush, and that basically broke the toe link on Preece's car, if I remember correctly. So, and then that led up to Larson spinning out on his own in the final stage. I don't know if that can be attributed to the old tires or not. I highly doubt it, because there was the groove was wearing out on the bottom. And then Preece finally got him back with 78 to go, and NASCAR Twitter can say whatever they want, but I'm not really buying his story of saying that he got loose on Larson.
Well, of course not, but they're not going to
admit it.
Yeah, they're not going to admit it these days. That's especially with what Denny Hamlin did. There's no way they're going to admit it. They covered it up very well in their talks when they immediately were like, well, he turns, right, left. He turned right down onto you, did the same thing. I mean, he should be penalized. So they covered up the fact that it was intentional very well. But they did have a good point. It did look like, he hit Larson, and then whether Larson was out of control or not, that dang thing turned left and ran right into Preece.
There's something honorable about admitting it, though. I don't know. Maybe that's
until you lose 100 points.
Yeah.
You're out of the playoffs.
Well, let's be real. Oh, you guys can take notes of this. Let's be realistic. Preece isn't getting into the playoffs this year. As much as I had high hopes for him coming into the season, he's not making it in.
He's 27th in the current point standings with Eric Almirola 29th. SHR is you are a 3-star team.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if he wins a race somehow, maybe at a wild card track and gets a little lucky with strategy and a few yellows, he could win and then he'd be in the playoffs. And that's what I absolutely hate about the playoffs. Now, I'm going to go on a rant here because this happened to be in NASCAR heat. I was racing in the truck series.
I'm gonna grab some popcorn.
Have fun, make new friends. And pretty much I did something stupid, like won 9 or 10 races in the regular season. And then when the playoffs started, I got knocked out like the first round or something because I kept getting caught up in big pileups that I didn't cause. And
you didn't just hit restart?
No, I'm not going to say
he's a clean racer. He's a clean racer, not a cheater.
It's not cheating.
Although I'm bad about that in the F1. But anyways, at the same time, I'm still salty about that. And I think about it in real life. That really is a problem because you have a guy that could win one race and then in the rest of the regular season get caught up in pile-ups or just do something stupid, and he still makes the playoffs. And then you get a guy that wins like 10 races, he makes the playoffs, but he gets knocked out in the first round because he gets unlucky. When the championship shouldn't even be close, which you should reward guys that are consistent and consistently doing well and not reward guys that get a little bit lucky with a win.
Yep.
That's just not quite. I don't know.
That's why the playoff system needs to go.
Exactly. And then Dale Jr. brought this point up too at on his podcast a few months ago. He had NASCAR president on there, and he pretty much just brought up the fact that he didn't believe that the playoffs, the final round of the playoffs, should be at the final race of the season. He believed that it should kind of be maybe the last 3 races at the very least.
That's what I agree with.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. And
that's
I remember
the way to fix it, I think.
Somewhat. The best way to fix it is get rid of the playoffs. But I remember he asked the NASCAR president about it. What's his name? Steve Phelps?
Steve Phelps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he didn't come up with a good answer for him. And he pretty much just basically said NASCAR wants to be different than other sports or something like that. And I mean,
I get that.
NASCAR is not a stick and ball sport.
No, it is not.
We're not going into the Stanley Cup playoffs like the Boston Bruins, who recently set the record for most wins in a season.
Yeah.
And
very
probably
impressive.
Will get knocked out first round. It's not like that. And
listen, they're not the Capitals who I root for, so
anyway. Speaking of choking in the first round, but yeah, I don't know, man. I hate the playoffs. I think the whole thing is stupid.
Yeah, you want to fix the sport, and this is a reason, because if you look at other motorsports, they think that NASCAR's point system is a joke, an absolute joke. You want to fix the point system, get rid of the playoffs, get rid of the win and you're in, keep stage racing, but get rid of the cautions. And like I said, keep rewarding stage points.
I'd just take out the stage points too, but that's just me. I'm more of a fan of old-fashioned NASCAR. But anyways,
Are you?
I
I've never been able to tell, Chris. No, I'm just
never. I would get the Winston Cup format and keep stage racing. But like I said, I would take out the cautions.
now
No.
the Winston Cup format, I will say this: their point system was a bit flawed. I think they need to
Yeah,
come up with another system since it's such a big field. Maybe I don't know. A lot smarter people than me come up with these things, but I'd say
I don't know
maybe
about that. I don't
top
know.
20 drivers get points or something.
So kind of like the Formula One points system.
Yeah, kind of. I just think that would be a little bit more, I guess, organized. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I just can't get behind not using, but kind of copying another sports points format.
I don't see anything wrong with it because look how well IndyCar does. Granted, that's a much smaller field,
Yeah,
but
they only have like 25 cars per race.
and NASCAR has all well, not almost, but
About 40.
yeah,
So
but
now
heck, I don't know.
so now that that rant is over, we got
I think a bunch of people drinking beers came up with that point system. They had too many
should
beers one night.
Bristol Dirt be on the schedule next year?
just I think it kind of reiterates what I had mentioned earlier, where I like having a dirt race on the schedule to add sort of that parity. But I'll say two things. I think that one, I think it should go on like a regular dirt track. I don't really think we need to keep throwing dirt on Bristol, especially because I don't think the attendance numbers were as good as they were hoping yesterday. So I
No,
think
the
you're better off.
I'm
A lot
sorry.
of those stands were empty.
Yeah, I
Yeah, the
noticed
So
that too.
stands were empty. I had a friend who actually had a couple friends who went to the race and they said the stands were empty. Like
yeah.
they were worse than the first one.
So and that's a big deal. So I think that you have to think about that as a very big factor as whether or not you kind of keep it at Bristol. But I also think it should be a little bit later in the season as well. Um, I have felt that I think I expressed this to you, Jacob, but like the beginning of the season's felt very weird. It feels like there's a lot of gimmicky things going on. The Atlanta race, the Daytona 500.
Yeah,
Like it feels like we've had very few races that we really see what these guys are about. And it's made it so for the first time probably ever in my life, I'm excited for the summer stretch. I always dreaded the summer stretch as a kid. The only reason I liked it is because Tony won a lot, but I didn't like the racetracks we went to, and now I can't wait. I think the dirt race just needs to get pushed back a little bit just because we've had a lot of very weird and kind of, gimmicky races to start the season. I just think we need a little more regular racing at the beginning of the season. So I feel like if you move this to race 15, race 16, I think you're better off there. But just having it so early in the season, it's just like I said, it feels like we're very gimmicky the first 7, 8 races, and then when we start, it's just it's weird. It's weird to say the least.
I hate gimmicky stuff. You should hear me when I watch Formula E. Have y'all watched Formula E before?
oh man,
Mm-mm.
Formula E is a good time, but it's gimmicky.
Like they have this one thing called the fan boost, and fans can vote for their favorite driver in the race. And when a driver gets the most votes, they get like a boost in horsepower or something.
No way. Add that to NASCAR, and I will just. Oh man, that would be amazing. Like just
Kyle Larson
randomly
would get it every week, I feel
No,
like.
Chase would.
until 1 week, randomly, here is BJ McLeod.
No, BJ McLeod would get it for the All-Star race because he's gonna get it. He's gonna get in with the fan vote. We're all gonna vote for him anyway.
This is fair.
That reminds me of the
My
whole John
goodness.
Scott situation in the NHL. Y'all
Please
remember
explain. No.
Y'all remember? Okay. Basically, John Scott was one of the last old time enforcers, goons, whatever you want to call them. And he kind of bounced up and down between the AHL, which is the equivalent of AAA baseball for hockey.
Yeah.
And up to the NHL. And fans voted him in as kind of a joke, which I kind of liked him. I honestly thought it was good for the sport having a guy like that. But anyways, I'm going off topic.
Excuse me. Okay. So Bristol Dirt, best race we've had there, but still it was yeah. I mean, it was still good racing, but I wouldn't want it there in 2024. And here's my thing. We've had rumors and reports saying that the schedule next year is going to be upwards of 40 races, which I hope doesn't happen. And
That's a lot of races.
It's a ton of races. And if
It's
that's
already
true,
a long season.
Yeah. And if that's true, I don't want Bristol Dirt to be on there. I want it to be the concrete surface, and I would like there to be Knoxville on the schedule.
I like that idea.
Yeah, and that's if the 40 race schedule is true.
I mean,
now
that means they would probably be racing at Christmas.
Yeah, we sometime around there, because we had F1 and in 2021, like 2 weeks before Christmas.
Yeah, and to me, I thought that was a little bit too late.
Well, if you think about it, in 2020, they did end before the week before Christmas, and that was obviously due to COVID.
Yeah, that was a little bit different though. So
Yeah.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt there. But I mean, a 40 race season though. Why don't we just make it the whole year 52 race season? If we're going that far with it.
Might as well at this rate, but
I hope it's more road courses though. I do love road courses.
Yeah.
I am actually reading something on Beyond the Flag that the way they actually set up like their own 40 race schedule, it would actually still wrap up on November 17th. It would just we would see the first race on February 10th. So I think there's a couple double headers in there that you could throw in. There's ways that they could make the season a shorter amount of time for sure. Yeah. Like one of them, it has you run on the Indy road course and then you run on the oval the next day. One of them is like a doubleheader at Richmond.
Kind of like what IndyCar does.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing the road course and the oval. I'm one of those people that's all for bringing the oval back, for the love of God.
Yeah, as long as they get one race in the oval next year, it'll be a gift from God.
Bring back the Brickyard.
Oh man. Because the Indy road course is not the answer right now. As much as I love Roger Penske and what he has done for both IndyCar and NASCAR and Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the road course is not the answer for the future of NASCAR at Indianapolis.
Yeah, I kind of agree. And I'm a person that, as long as nobody gets hurt, I really like the mess that it could cause, but
you just like chaos.
Yeah. Like that race that one year, a couple of years ago, that when the curb came up. That was,
gosh.
I still laugh at those replays.
So we've gotten far off topic for right now, but top 10 from Bristol: Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, Austin Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Chase Briscoe, Justin Haley, Martin Truex Jr., Todd Gilliland, Kevin Harvick, and Michael McDowell, both front row motorsports cars in the top 10, which is awesome.
Are you sure?
I I believe so.
The one that I'm looking at on NASCAR.com has Ty Gibbs at 10th, McDowell on 11th.
The one that I had taken the
wrong.
results from was from Fox NASCAR last night, and they had Michael McDowell in 10th place.
Interesting. That's
Maybe they penalized somebody.
Maybe, or
NASCAR.com officially has Gibbs in 10th with McDowell in 11th. We found a time Jacob's wrong. Let's go. Not me today.
Hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I will admit that.
Well, it's not your fault. Blame Fox, dude. That's what happens to me, and I look dumb, and it's always Fox because it
is Fox. Anyway, so all right, Ty Gibbs, possible top 10 question mark. If he gets his top 10, that's fine.
Allegedly.
Alleged top 10.
Current playoff standings: William Byron, Christopher Bell, who is also the current drivers' points leader. First time he's led the drivers' points in his career, if I'm not mistaken. Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Ross Chastain, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman, thanks to the penalty he got from Richmond, which we will talk about in a little bit. Denny Hamlin, Austin Cindric, and Chris Buescher. And some notable drivers who are below the cut line right now. Michael McDowell, he's only 1 point below the cut line. So very real chance he could get in on points if he has some very good runs throughout the season, which I think would be really, really cool to see. Maybe Buescher doesn't get in and McDowell does, kind of like an underdog story. Be cool to see. Ty Gibbs is 9 below the cut line.
I like Ty Gibbs right now.
Yeah, and
what's he at? 4 straight top 10s, man? I mean,
maybe.
He's been in the top 10 almost every week the last few weeks. He's just very quietly been up there. He could be a sneaky guy to sneak in on points if he just keeps up that consistency.
And I'm going to call myself.
That's why I hate the current point system. He should be up there.
And I'm going to call myself out on something. I posted an article at the beginning of the season saying that Noah Gragson was going to get in and Ty Gibbs wasn't. Not looking like the case right now. I'll tell you why in just a second.
It's okay. I said Justin Haley was going to get in, and I think he's still at negative points. No, he's at 61. He's at 61. Let's go. Not negative anymore.
Making progress, baby.
That's what I'm talking about.
Daniel Suarez, 13 below the cut line. Briscoe is 20 below. Corey LaJoie is 21 back. Bubba, 40 below the cut line. Allmendinger, 49 below the cut line. And Noah Gragson, who I said was going to get in, and Ty Gibbs wasn't, 92 below the cut line.
Yeah, he's had some bad. That whole, Eric Jones and that 42, they have just not had what they had last year that you kind of saw in some of those different weeks where they just had a lot of speed. Just feel like you haven't really seen that out of them. So they're going to need a big summer stretch to feel like they're any sort of involved in this playoff conversation. But it's it definitely has not been the season that Legacy Motor Club was hoping for.
I will say this. I believe that Christopher Bell may make the championship 3. I'm putting that out there. Y'all are giving me weird looks about that, but
you think he'll make the championship 4 again?
Yeah, championship 4, not championship.
That's why I give you a weird look.
Shows you how much I understand it.
In 100% your defense, though, he right now, when you look at the point standings, he is the only driver with 5 top 5s. The next closest would be Reddick with 4, and he's also got 6 top 10s, which leads everybody by 2, excluding Kevin Harvick. Alex Bowman has 6 top 10s too. That's an interesting stat. So I think Bell has really come into his own, and I mentioned it last year in a couple articles, but he's really putting that 20 car back in, that championship playoff contention, and it hasn't been there since the Matt Kenseth days, and even then that was short lived. So it's good to see
Yeah.
this 20 car running back up front again as a Tony Stewart fan from back in the day.
Yeah, would you say that this is his Christopher Bell's breakout year?
I think it's a possibility. I think that it's tough because I feel like we haven't seen, especially with a lot of these young guys. We've kind of predicted this guy's going to have a breakout year or this guy's going to have a breakout year, and it just doesn't always turn out that way. And
Then all
it's a
three of us
quieter
look
year.
like idiots.
Yeah, I mean, you think about William Byron last year. Like everybody thought that was going to be his breakout year, and sure, he got a lot of wins. But what happened after week 9?
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's just for Christopher Bell. I think everybody has thought he was going to be really, really good, and last year kind of proved that when under pressure he can get things done. So I it's hard to see him not being in that championship four. I really agree with your bold statement, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I like him right now. I like him a lot right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll win a few more races this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't think it'd be a bold statement, excuse me, to say that it wouldn't be a shocker to see him in the championship four again, let alone be the only Joe Gibbs Toyota in the championship four once again this year.
You don't reckon Denny Hamlin will make it?
I don't know.
No.
I just don't.
No.
No.
0 top 5s, 2 top 10s. He's been struggling to start this year, and I think that he's just got a lot going on off the track, man. Like I can't see him in that position again. He just hasn't been that. He just hasn't been that guy that we've seen in some of those past championship 4 runs where he's gets off to a good start or something like that. He just hasn't had that. I mean, neither is Truex either. They both have no top 5s and 2 top 10s.
Yeah.
So that's an important note.
You think they might need to change teams, change the scenery?
I've said
what their contract looks like, so
I've said, I don't think Hamlin will ever leave Joe Gibbs, but I have said that I think honestly, I could see Truex leaving and actually still racing somewhere else. I think everything would have to fall into place perfectly. I'm not just saying, he'd go up and take the 4 car. I think that if he was to continue racing, it would be with JRM coming up to Cup and he wants to help them out or something like that. That would be the avenue that I think you see Martin Truex leave them. Hamlin, it's difficult, and I think that it kind of just depends on how he feels.
I think that he would go to 2311 and take the 11 car with him to 2311.
I think it's a high possibility. I think with it kind of just depends on, he has to do an evaluation, obviously no top 5s, 2 top 10s right now. A lot can happen still in the rest of the season. We mentioned that earlier in the podcast. So he will, depending on how this season goes, if it continues to not be a great season, then he may have to do an evaluation and kind of figure out is it me that's causing this? Is it the cars? And that's when I think you kind of see him make that decision of, does he feel he still has more to give that the cars that he's being given just aren't letting him show? And that's going to be the key.
And 2, it just might mean not necessarily him or the cars, or it could be him, and he just needs to change the scenery. Like that happens with a lot of athletes, although like I said before, NASCAR isn't a stick and ball sport, but sometimes an athlete needs to be traded or change teams in order to kind of get their career going again, which I'm thinking that might be the case with Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, it really lights a fire underneath you, and that's where we've seen Kyle Busch kind of have a much stronger start to the year than we've seen Kyle Busch have in a long time. And so that sort of change of scenery has been very helpful for him. And it's something that, I think Hamlin might look at, because you see just the difference in Kyle Busch and and his personality and everything since he's moved over to RCR. He's different. He's a different guy. And I think that Hamlin kind of looks at that and says, I've been racing with Joe Gibbs for the last, 16, 17 years. He may decide that he wants to go race for 23XI, and I don't think it would be a bad idea for him. He gets to be up front and center with those cars that have been, kind of up and down in their tenure in the Cup Series. So he gets to really be hands-on with it. I don't think it's a bad move.
And he gets a race for himself too.
Mm-hmm. And imagine him getting the championship as an owner driver. If he finally got that first as an owner driver, he'd be one of very few to do that.
I couldn't tell you who the last one was.
Oh, you couldn't? It was you don't know? You don't know?
Please tell me. Enlighten me.
Is my boy Tony 2011. Now
that's right.
Now they said yesterday he's not technically the last full owner driver. That was Kulwicki, who fully owned the team.
Yeah.
Stewart only owns a half stake, but still he did win the championship in 2011. He's technically the last owner driver to win a championship. But there's some opportunities these days. Brad Keselowski could have that opportunity if Denny Hamlin decides to go to 23XI. That opportunity's there. There's a few opportunities to become an owner champion that we could see another one in the next 10 years or so.
Yeah, and like you said, think about how and think about, like you said, think about how hot of a start Kyle Busch has been off to this year. Kyle Busch needed to change the scenery. Obviously the sponsorship issue played a huge role into his departure from Joe Gibbs Racing, but he obviously needed change of scenery. He was there with Joe Gibbs Racing the last 15 years. Said, hey, I need to change the scenery. This isn't working. Let's give RCR a try. Look at how well he's doing right now. He could be a Championship 4 favorite guy right now.
That's bold. That's real bold.
Well, I did predict it in one of my articles, so I'm still sticking with it.
I think he will be a top contender in the playoffs. I don't know about Championship 4, but I believe he will be up there.
We'll see him in that round of 8 for sure.
I'd say so.
It's funny seeing him in the 8 car, though, because I still associate the 8 with Dale Jr.
It takes some time.
It really does.
Do you guys remember when Daniel Hemrick was in the 8 car? Because I do.
I do. That one-off year. Oh,
2018 boy. Charlotte Roval.
What about
that? Was
Mark
the
Martin?
first Roval race. That was crazy.
Was Mark Martin in the 8 car.
Yep.
Now that was weird.
That was extremely weird. So we've strayed off topic again, but that's fine. It keeps the show very entertaining. Let's go to penalty report, guys. We have some breaking news in the last couple hours. A couple different pieces, actually. Hendrick Motorsports decides not to appeal their penalties from Richmond for the 24 and 48 cars. They were docked 60 driver and owner points, as well as 5 playoff points, $75,000 in a 2-race suspension for the crew chiefs. Kind of surprising, but also not at the same time, considering how the appeals process came out last week or so. So it's definitely been the hot topic of NASCAR the last week and a half or so. Hey guys, really quick, just want to say this is the end of part 1 of the Bristol Dirt episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, so give us a subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Spotify. Just want to thank you guys once again, wherever you are watching or listening. And yeah, we will catch you guys back here for part 2 when the episode goes live tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoy.